listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 286. Hughes sings Gillan, sings Dio, sings Ozzy. And coming to you from the suburbs of Chicago, where we are having some warm fall weather, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John the Diner Matola.
The Diner. Is it? No. It was where the diner originated. The first diner.
It is the place where it has the most diners in the world.
Most did we do New York yet?
Yeah.
We did New York. Huh.
No, wait, did we do New York? No, we didn't do New York yet. I'm sorry.
Is it New York?
No.
Okay. Where is it?
Oh, it's New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, yeah.
Oh, Jersey, most diners in the world. Hey.
I was driving through New Jersey with a guy from work years ago, like 15 years ago, maybe longer. And he was like talking about this like crummy diner that is this guy from work was talking about this crummy diner that his dad used to go to when we drove by. He's like, oh, my dad is always going to this. He's like, Mitch, you gotta try the perch. The perch there is amazing. He's like, Dad, why are you going to this crappy diner for perch?
Who eats perch?
Yeah, I don't know, but it was in New Jersey. I guess
right.
you gotta have the ocean perch if you go to that diner. It was one of those classic diners with the shiny metal siding and everything.
No, when we went on our Deep Purple Jersey trip on the way back, the end of the trip, we were exiting Jersey. Me and Rich just stopped at the closest possible diner. You know, we didn't like look it up or try and say, oh, best in the state or anything. And it was pretty good. But I mean, it was like you have the classic 50s diner, and then you have just the rest of them that are just frozen in time. Like we walked in and I was like, wow, this looks like my aunt's house from 1987. Like there was just like design choices in that place that are just like they've been frozen in time. It's like
salt and pepper shakers that haven't been cleaned in 30 years.
Yeah, I seem to remember these like it was like I don't know, was they like something with mirrors. There was a lot of mirror type art or decor going on in the mid 80s, I feel.
Yeah. Well, that was like the big trick is like you'd put a mirror on one wall to make it look like the room was bigger.
Which, I mean, you could still do that, but I mean, the way they did in the 80s was kind of tacky. But I want to say they were like mirrored, like vertical blinds or something like that. And like this kind of salmon pink, what do you call them? Booths, you know, the chairs and the booths. Like it's just, but I remember the food was really good though. So
did you get the perch?
I did. Indeed, I did not.
You missed out. You missed out. I heard they have amazing perch there.
They're just all diners.
He's like, Dad, don't go have seafood at the sketchy diner. I should have known it was New Jersey. Well, welcome, folks. If you want to support the Deep Purple Podcast, you can do so a number of ways. One is by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Tell us how you like the perch. Write in the review. You can buy some merch at our Etsy store. Actually, I just ordered some new, whatever you want to call them, beanies, toques.
Nice.
Embroidered with the Deep Purple logo on a nice heather gray to mimic the brushed steel of our logo. So those should be in by the next time we record. So check our Etsy store if you want to purchase one. Become a patron on Patreon or on PayPal for as little as $1 a month. You can help support the show. All that money goes right back into the show. We buy tickets. We buy albums to review. We buy beanies to sell you. We buy all sorts of stuff. Help to keep the show going. You can also donate on Cash App, $DPPOD, or support us on Ko-fi. Also, if you want to check out other like-minded podcasts about different bands, check out deepdivepodcastnetwork.com for all the latest and the greatest episodes on bands ranging from, what do we got? We got Van Halen, we got Black Sabbath, we got Lynyrd Skynyrd, we got Queen. I think we have a couple of Queen podcasts in the ranks. So check it out. There's a lot of different shows that we're friendly with. So please check that out. And yeah, what else do we got? Any other housekeeping before we get into our patrons? Trying to look. We don't have any postcards this week, but
oh wow. All right. Well, that cuts things down. No postcards. Geez.
yeah, we're doing a quick last minute episode, last minute concept.
Yeah.
We've
Breezy
got
fall. The breezy
morning
fall format.
Exactly. Our breezy summer format never took off. So it's our breezy fall format as we get ready to go to work later tonight. But yeah, just throwing together a rare morning episode, and should be a lot of fun. And our In Rock rankings episode. As a patron, you get, what do you get? Our ranking spreadsheet access. You get access to our patrons only Discord. You get invited to our live stream episodes to be on the stream as we record and in the chat. And you also get to vote on our episodes. We're voting and ranking every Deep Purple episode. And the next one coming up is a little album called Deep Purple in Rock. You may have heard of it. So it's a very difficult one to rank, but you get in there and you'll be able to rank it. We were looking for the rankings by October 27th. So as of recording this, you still got about a month to go. So yeah, any other housekeeping before we get into the patrons?
I don't think we do. No.
All right, then let's get right into it. Right with our executive level, our patrons at the in memoriam tier, the wonderful late Jerry Kelly and family. Was actually looking at some of his old emails just the other day as I was preparing for an episode, because he had scanned so many different Kerrang magazines over to me. So I was checking those out. So very continues to be very helpful. And we miss you, Jerry. At the $25 Uncommon Man tier, we have Ovis Nakfi. At the 15 Squid tier, we have Alan. At the 10-pound Good Doctor tier, we have Dr. Mike Catan. At the Turn It Up to $11 tier, Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Mikkel Steen, Will Porter, PhD PP, and Michael, don't call him Bradford Bagford. At the $10 Someone Came tier, Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Victor Campos, Better Call Saul Evans. And Peter from Illinois. And at the Hughesoween by 2033 tier, we have Fielding Fowler. So since we came in 10 years early on his Hughesoween by 2033 tier, should we just call it the Hughesoween tier now? I guess we'll see what.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's Fielding's call.
Yeah.
We'll let him decide. All right. So the idea for this episode was, since there have been so many Deep Purple and Deep Purple adjacent singers in Black Sabbath, why not listen and compare what they sound like singing the other singers? And there's enough out there to hear them all singing kind of each other, as long as you go in reverse chronological order, because the songs hadn't been written yet. But we can hear Hughes singing Gillan and Dio and Ozzy. We can hear Gillan singing Dio and Ozzy. We can hear Dio singing Ozzy, and just kind of compare, if you've got a good idea of what the Ozzy songs sound like, what the differences are in those performances. So I did grab
Interesting.
a few. I've got so I'm going to be very interactive. I can send you a set list of, and I've got some highlights and notes here, but I can send you a set list of this Glenn show. And there's very, very few recordings of Glenn Hughes in Black Sabbath, and not really any good ones. The quality is not great. The other ones are a different story, but I'll send you this list right here. So this performance was Glenn Hughes, the final performance in Worcester, Massachusetts. And this is Glenn opens up with Mob Rules. He does Children of the Sea, War Pigs, Heart Like a Wheel, so his own song, Symptom of the Universe, Sweet Leaf, Zero the Hero, The Sphinx, Seventh Star, Children of the Grave, No Stranger to Love, Turn to Stone, Black Sabbath, and Heaven and Hell. So anything jumping out at you as a, let's say, if we go in reverse order, we'd have him singing Gillan. So we actually only have one selection for Gillan, and that's Zero the Hero. So we could start with Gillan, go to Dio, and go to Ozzy. And see.
That's true, yeah.
Now, I will say, Glenn Hughes kind of gets an unfair advantage in that there's so few versions, and this is not his finest hour.
Yeah.
Particularly this show, but it might be the yeah, it might be, you know, this was kind of the catalyst for the whole thing kind of falling apart. So let me see if I can cue up Zero the Hero here. Where the heck is it?
And I don't know if I've heard, I mean, I know that I've heard the Gillan Worcester show. I don't know if I've heard the Hughes Worcester show before. I think it's funny, both of those shows are Worcester recorded.
Yeah, right. They're yeah, that's right. They are both from Worcester. Funny enough. Yeah. Oh, here it is. So this is a medley sort of so we'll hear a little bit of is this not gonna work? Let me pause for 1 second here. All right, technical difficulties figured out. Okay, so I do have a few different options here, and then we're gonna go with, let's see here. So this is a medley. Kind of goes through several different songs, hence the medley. So this is a medley of Symptom of the Universe, Sweet Leaf, Zero the Hero, and Sphinx. So that's really kind of, I think, our only, unless anybody else has a better idea, but this seems like this might be our only option of hearing him sing the Gillan song. So let's take a listen to a Symptom of, well, we'll try to scrub ahead and find the Zero the Hero. So here we go.
I'd like to hear what he does with Symptom.
All right, let's do it then.
Oh yeah, this is like true bootleg right here.
True bootleg quality, yeah. Eric Singer is doing the drum part pretty well.
Okay, so he did not actually sing that.
so this might be maybe this is a bust. Oh, he did that. Oof.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a rare moment of Glenn's struggle in there.
But I mean, Sweet Leaf is not hard to sing. I could sing Sweet Leaf.
Yeah, you would think of all the things that Glenn would struggle with, it would be Ozzy vocals. Eric Singer's kind of all over it.
Oh yeah, he was always a chameleon.
Oops, that's the wrong art.
Yes.
There is a Cleveland show as well. I compared a few of them, and they're all pretty similar.
Similarly bad.
Yeah, like they all just sound very bootleggy. And this is the fan-made bootleg art. They call this The Decision in Massachusetts, which is kind of
The Decision. Look how they have Ray Gillan on there.
Yeah, well, this one is like a 2 CD set. The first one is Glenn Hughes. And then it's The Decision was made. Gillan. Yeah. And then the second one is Gillan, which... There we go. Which is obviously... Gillan was in better form, but...
Yeah.
But the sound quality is so much better of the Ray Gillan one.
And I think I've mentioned before, too, I've heard the version of Seven Star with Ray Gillan, and it's way better than the Tony Martin one, in my opinion.
So yeah, I don't know if he's... I don't even know if he's on stage at this point.
I mean, yeah, a couple of these songs, the medley could have just been instrumental, which that sounds like that's what they did with Symptom and Zero. Yeah. And then I think the Sphinx is too. So really, he only sang Sweet Leaf.
A little.
All right. Well, yeah. He croaked his way through Sweet Leaf.
He croaked his. So anyway, that's.
Boy, that would be like finding a bootleg of Dio, like fucking up a show. You know what I mean? It's like Dio and Hughes are two of those vocalists that you're just like, you never hear them not nailing it.
Right. It's very, very rare. And obviously it's just, he was probably at one of his lowest points.
Well, yeah. I mean, we kind of knew that, but
yeah.
But
let's see. But we do have some vocals of him. So I guess looking at the list, we've got Mob Rules, Children of the Sea. What else do we have from Dio? Heaven and Hell. So any one of those that you want to hear how he's going to do with a proper song with the full lyrics with Dio?
I mean, any of them would be great, but I mean, I feel like Heaven and Hell would be the way to go, because that's pretty classic.
All right, then let's cue up Heaven and Hell. It's going to sound really bad if I don't make this little adjustment here. And let's take a listen. Whoop, whoop. Whooping it up already.
I mean, it would also, yeah, it's too bad that there wasn't like a soundboard or something of
Yeah.
some of these shows because even if it wasn't good, I feel like uh, this kind of format it would be easy for anybody to sound like crap.
Oh yeah, like this is clearly Glenn not at his best, and then
All
actually
right.
sounds like he's doing a Ronnie there pretty good. But the funny thing is, the next show that they played with Ray Gillan is a soundboard, and it sounds incredible. Like everything about it sounds incredible. So it's a shame that nobody got one of these with Hughes.
You never know. They might have been like the way he was performing. They're like, don't even waste the tape.
There's somebody laughing. You can kind of, it's even with the poor quality, you can hear how he is trying to go for that, like a Dio impression almost.
Yeah. I mean, I guess from what you can tell from this recording, doesn't sound horrible. At least during the
No.
verses, he sounds like he's kind of holding it together.
Somebody posted a picture of Jeff Nichols the other day where I don't know what was on his head, but it just like was like, I mean, he must have been wearing a wig or something, right? Somebody laughing.
I don't know. I don't know.
I can't remember where I saw it, but I just saw it and I just started laughing. It almost looked like, who's that guy that, is it the guy from like, who's that guy that has the crazy hair?
You got to be more specific.
A really bad question. The guy who's like, is it the guy from Sweet or something? But he's still out there and he's got like
yeah. He's like a million years old and has like a blonde wig that looks like it's from Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know. I don't know, but I know who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about, right? It looked kind of like that. Is it Andy Scott?
I'm not sure.
I think it's Andy Scott.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of the wigs and hair pieces and shit going on in the 80s, and nobody really talked it because people talk about it now like, oh, they're getting older, they're wearing wigs, but I mean, they were doing that shit in the 80s too, like at least you know, wigs, hair extensions. So I was watching that there's that Paramount Plus documentary, 3-part documentary about hair metal.
Yep.
And they were having an interview with Jack Russell from Great White. Must have been shortly before he passed away. And he was telling stories about how, you know, I mean, he was a lot more wild than I thought he was in terms of he talked about how he you know, did like an armed robbery and all this shit before he was before he was like did Great White's like first or second album or something like that. But then there was like, I don't know, he got off stage and they're like, where are his drugs? Where's drugs? And they couldn't find it. And they're like, check under his weave. And he was like, oh yeah, that's right. And he was like, even, and it was like, they ripped like his hairpiece off and they grabbed the drugs. He was hiding them in his wig or something like that.
Check his weave. So
but yeah, anyways, that was a little bit of a amusing detour. But yeah, this yeah, I mean the unfortunately the quality of this doesn't really lend itself to give too much of a fair review, but I would say from what we heard, um sounded like Hughes was kind of holding it together for the verses,
yeah,
but it didn't overall sound like not what I would expect from him.
yeah, and the band sounded really good, really
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you look back, I mean,
And I don't think,
objectively, the musicians were really good in
yeah,
that
but I think
band.
at this point Tony Iommi was kind of in his own drug phase too, but it didn't seem to affect him very, as much with the performances.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like, you know, any other band, you know, he wanted to be solo, but was under contract,
Was like
could have sold
basically
more,
never allowed to be solo.
pretty much, you know. It was like couldn't really release music unless it was under the Sabbath name, which, you know, I would assume is for commercial purposes as well as contractual purposes. I mean, you know, when you get older and you realize all that stuff, you're just like, okay, would it be easier for like some of these people that you roll your eyes at and you're just like, ugh, why did they just keep it going? Why didn't they just
Yeah.
start a whole new band? Because it's like, you know, it'd be like just leaving an established thing and trying to build up your own thing. Like these people are going to make a living. So,
Well, it's like, you know, how many people were at that Deep Purple show or one of the Deep Purple shows we saw this summer that couldn't name one single person in the band, but were
right.
just there because they knew some of the songs and stuff, you know? And I'm sure it's a a pretty substantial number, um, that are just there, like, they know Smoke on the Water, they know Space Truckin', they know Highway Star, but they couldn't tell you the names. Just like, you know, why when Ian Gillan went solo and wants to call his band Shand Grenade, which is one of the worst possible names. They were like, "Nah, how about Ian Gillan Band?" And even that is pushing it because some Deep Purple people or fans might not even know the name Ian Gillan.
But I think that it's I mean at this stage of the game too, all these years later, the pretty much the twilight of a lot of these bands' careers. I mean, even that the younger couple that we kept talking about that was sitting in front of us
Mhm.
in Chicago, you know, the girl had on a Born Again sweatshirt,
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
know.
mean,
It's like, I
she
mean,
was no slouch.
yeah, exactly. I mean, even that, I mean, it's just like you have that one connection to the band, and it's like maybe obviously she's got to know who Gillan is, you know what I mean? But maybe she doesn't know who the other guys are. But I mean, still brought her in there, even if she didn't know one song, right?
My daughter went to Target and picked out an AC/DC shirt and,
Hmm.
what's the other one? AC/DC and shoot,
Oh,
I'm drawing
geez.
a blank on the
AC/DC, the Beatles, Guns N' Roses, like they all have their merch out in places like Target.
yeah, so I was coaching her on some deep cuts. Like, I was like, if some like, luckily she's 9, so, like, if, you know, no she's not gonna get some little dickhead 9-year-old go, "Oh, yeah, yeah, but you can't even name a AC/DC song." But, you know, when she gets a little older, she will, so I just wanna have her just, you know, "What's your favorite AC/DC song?" It's like, "Just tell them 'Big Balls.'"
I was just gonna, I was just gonna say that. Just like throw out the most obscene title. Big
Um,
balls.
yeah, I'm trying to remember what the heck was the other shirt she had. Oh, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's kinda funny that those some of those bands like Def Leppard, Iron Maiden, even like they have the Metallica,
Hmm.
um, they're like fat like those logos are just kinda like fashion pieces now for some people that don't even know the music. Just
Yeah, I mean,
kind of in
which is
some
cool
people get all
because,
bent out of shape about it, but it's like, who freaking cares?
well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you, but I mean, if you think about it, right, back when we were in high school and
Yeah,
we were getting into this stuff that was in the 60s and 70s, I mean, we genuinely liked it too, though. But I mean,
yeah,
I remember putting on a, oh, what was it? I think it was a, I had a Britney Fox t-shirt.
yeah. You had the Britney Fox t-shirt?
I had the Brit, but I remember putting it on, and I remember the back of it said Rock Revolution, right?
Mhm.
Which was, I guess, the name of the tour, but I guess it was a name of one of their songs too. And I remember my dad saw it, and he's just like, he goes, they were doing that back in my day, the rock revolution, so it's like everybody scoffs at the same ideas, like, that's nothing new and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, so I'm not gonna be that guy because like I even heard there was a couple of girls in their 20s at
Yeah.
work and they were listening to all the grunge stuff
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
my friends were getting into in real time when I was in high school. Like they had on like Primus and all this other stuff. And I'm like, and it just, I walked into the room and it just took me back. And I'm like, wow, like these kids are like, but I mean, they were really into it, and you could tell
Oh
by
yeah, yeah.
their kind of style and everything like that. So some of them are like, no joke, but I'm not just going to be like, well, I was there at the beginning.
It'd be great if John's like, I bet you can't name 3 Nirvana songs, and then they name 3 songs. You're like, I don't know, maybe those are Nirvana songs. I'll give you a pass.
It's like, so you can name 3 Nirvana songs. See me in my office. You're fired. I don't like you anymore.
Yeah, it's funny that people born it was happening when we were kids, and people were uh kids in high school, college, and in the mid 90s or whatever, early
Yeah.
90s, and people were listening to Pink Floyd, and they're still doing that, but they're also listening to Nirvana and stuff, so why
Hey, good for
not?
you. Music's for everybody.
Exactly. We're all welcome here. Okay, so one more selection from here.
Oh,
Let's hear Glenn doing an Ozzy song. What Ozzy song should we pick? We sort of heard Symptom of the Universe, but let's give him a fair
um,
shot, and then we'll get into the better quality ones here.
I mean, how about War Pigs? That one's
All
always
right.
interesting when anybody but Ozzy does it.
All right, I agree. War Pigs. Let's cue this one up, and here we go. All right. I can't really hear the bass too much. I don't know how Dan Spitz is doing it. Wait, is it Dan Spitz or
I think it's Dave Spitz.
Dave Spitz? Dan is Spitz is from Anthrax.
Right.
And his brother, right? Aren't they brothers?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You could tell by looking at him.
And now he's like one of the top watchmakers in the world.
Hey,
He's like an expert watchmaker.
hey, I used to laugh at that shit, but I mean, that's got to be difficult. So,
Oh no.
props to the guy.
Oh yeah. I just remember with his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Flying V.
Bunch of goofballs.
Oh, crowd's getting loud. Oh, sounded good there. Oh, this is Ray Gillan.
Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't really sound like
I grabbed the wrong
Hughes.
one. I was like, wow, he's really doing okay, let's try this again.
I was like, that doesn't sound like choices Hughes would make.
No, it sounded very yeah, I was kind of surprised. All right, here we go. I don't know how to skip through this here. All right. Can I skip? I think I could drag this. Let's try this. Whoa. It sounds like something keeps cutting out. I let the crowd say, "Oh Lord," yeah. But it's like, it sounds almost like he's like pulling the microphone away too soon.
Maybe.
Or like there's some sort of noise gate on it that's cutting off way too early. Yes, it's the problem with both of these concerts being on the one set. All right. All right, let's cut it off there.
Yeah, I can't. Between
We
the
got the
quality and yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
just
pretty
doesn't
bad.
sound that great.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
All right.
I would
So
rather hear the Ray Gillan.
yeah, well, before we get to Ray Gillan, let's get to Ian Gillan.
There we go.
This should be let's see here, Worcester. Nope, that's the other Worcester. Too many Worcester shows. Oh, actually, this one is not Worcester. This is from, I'm gonna put this up. This one is from Germany, 1983. It's called The Last 2 Days. So this would be the last two Gillan shows. So if we want to get in, we've got again Heaven and Hell.
Mhm.
We've got is that the only thing? That might be the only one he does from Dio. Oh, yeah, just Heaven and Hell. So let's cue up Heaven and Hell and
All
hear
right.
the Gillan version of that. At least a portion.
Woo!
In our last episode, we heard Dio singing Gillan. Now we're going to hear Gillan singing Dio. Sounds like he's struggling a little bit.
To me, it doesn't sound like he's really struggling. It just sounds like it's not, the song isn't really for him.
Yeah.
It's not suited to his voice. Like it took me like a few seconds to even settle in that this was Gillan.
Yeah.
I know he said it was hard for him to sing some of these songs because he couldn't connect to the lyrics. Mostly Ozzy's, I think, but
yeah.
But this isn't really Gillan's style, so I don't really like this.
He just starts to go into some Gillan screams just to get himself. Yeah, it sounds like he's not able to find his footing. So this would have been recorded at a place I'm not even going to try to attempt to pronounce on the 27th of September, 1983. So almost exactly 41 years ago to the day. All right, so that's Heaven and Hell.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, they were able to do some really kind of really dark songs on Born Again, but it was really Gillan can sing those types of songs if he writes them, if they're tailored to him. I feel like, the covers that he's done in the past, like the kind of rockabilly and 50s tunes and stuff like that, that's more suited to him. When he's trying to cover contemporaries that are doing really dark stuff, I don't really hear it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and I think he knew that too, he was just like, yeah, this really isn't my stuff, but, he had to do it.
So We also have from this, where is it again? Germany. Black Sabbath. We have Iron Man, Paranoid, Rock and Roll Doctor. I don't know how that made the set. Rock and
Yeah,
Roll.
that's unusual.
War Pigs. A second version of Paranoid and Heaven and Hell together.
All right.
Black Sabbath, he gets a lot of credit for his singing of Black Sabbath.
All right, why don't we hear that?
Let's hear it. It's not
I feel
my
like
favorite
he might
Black Sabbath song, but
he might be able to nail that one. And I mean, full disclosure is that I have heard the Gillan Worcester bootlegs before, but I mean, it probably haven't heard them since I was a kid. So
yeah, this one is Germany, but
or just Gillan bootlegs with the band,
yeah.
you know.
Sounds like they're playing it a little different here.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That's great.
There
Well,
you
that's
go.
a different take on it.
Well, I mean, he was doing that stuff all over the Born Again album
Right.
too.
It's
So
yeah. It's it sounded like he dropped something on his foot. It wasn't like a typical Gillan scream. It was like, "No!"
he was just having a fun with it.
Oh. I don't think I ever realized those were the lyrics, unless he got it wrong. I thought it was always Satan sitting and he's smiling, but
He might have taken some liberties.
it's a 50-50. Either he's singing it right and I'm just figuring that out. Or... All right, so I mean, it gives you a pretty good idea of what Okay, I'm gonna have to let him go here for a little bit. Oh no! He
Wow.
dropped it on him. Yeah, I've never heard him do a scream like that. It's not even a scream. It's a
like a growl.
It's like in the middle of the night when I stub my toe on the foot of the bed, or hit my shin. All right, let's let him go with this for a minute. He keeps doing this head. He's like, instead of. Oh, he's got the little wah going on there on the guitar.
Yeah, I think Gillan just kind of figured out his own crazy stamp to put on this. But it's like not having heard him sing any Sabbath songs for quite a while. I definitely say it's a kind of a shock. Definitely not. Yeah, I can see why he didn't spend a long time in the band.
Yeah, it's just not really his thing.
Yeah. I mean, Born Again album, we can agree was pretty awesome, but.
Yeah, he's doing a good job of making it like what would this album be like in the Born Again era of him just cackling like a madman. And
yeah,
it definitely brings a level of, I mean, this is already a very dark song with Ozzy, but with Gillan, it takes on a whole new character of, you wouldn't think that Gillan would give off the more psychotic vibe than Ozzy, but he kind of does.
Well, he's got more of a vocal range too, so he can do more crazy screaming and shit. I figured maybe he would have done some vocalizing there or something.
Yeah. All right, so it's kind of some ideas of the whole Gillan era, and that well, we should probably pause here for our patrons.
Yes.
And, coming in at here we go, the core level patrons. I can find them here. Coming in at the $8.99 What's Going On Here tier, we have Richard Fusey at the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier. We have Michael Vader.
Impressive.
At the $6.99 New Nice Price tier, we have Spike the Rock Cat and Sugar Tea. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith.
Getting support from the patron Arthur Smith.
Anton Glaving.
Pain in the glaving!
And Charles Meadows. At the $6.65 Almost Evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore and Richie Sucksmith. At the $5.99 The Nice Price tier, Robert Smith and Carl Hellberg. At the 60 kroner Scandinavian Nights tier, we have Knut Morten Johansson. At the $5 Moneylender tier, John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Alman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger Slepikov, Kev Roberts, Percival Frequency, Scott Zerns, Cynthia Doobie, Raf Kaff.
My Czechoslovakian is not so good.
Coyote Bongwater. John Maselli.
I'm Abraham Lincoln.
Sarah Sanders.
No! Kelly Clarkson!
Jelly Bean and Evan Robinson. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast.
And Tony Maselli quotes just out of context are just like they just never stop being funny. I'm
I don't know if
Abraham Lincoln, laugh
I-
track.
I don't know if I should give the context or just leave the mystery.
Just leave it.
Just leave. What
Thing-
more
I-
do you need to know?
Things are always funnier, and you can bend them to your will out of context. So,
This is true. This is true. All right. So now we're brought to Dio singing Ozzy, which I know we've talked about on the show before. But my introduction to Dio, probably to Dio in general, was the Live Evil album. My cousin Jeff had it, and we would listen to it, and I was like, I can't get used to the way he sings the Ozzy songs. And honestly, I have not even really listened to that album in a really, really long time, so I couldn't really tell you if there's oops, just realized I'm still sharing that Gillan artwork. So yeah, I can't tell you like how I would feel about it now with all the context and the years of listening to all this various stuff, but I do have the Live Evil CD here, so we got some options. I don't know if there's anything you're feeling like, but we have NIB, we have Black Sabbath again, we have War Pigs, we have Iron Man, we have Paranoid, Children of the Grave.
Yeah, I think maybe one of those, like maybe songs that we haven't heard. Because I mean, we're not really doing a comparison. Like it would be one thing if we did a comparison, like the same song across all singers, which actually probably would have been a good idea.
Well, I kind of thought about that, but then I was like, we might get tired of hearing 8 versions of War Pigs or whatever. But
yeah, that's true. But I think what were they?
Let's see. For Ozzy songs, just going through quick here: NIB, Black Sabbath, War Pigs, Iron Man, Paranoid, Children of the Grave.
Yeah, Iron Man, Paranoid, or Children of the Grave.
All right, I like Children of the Grave. That's one of my favorite Sabbath songs.
Yeah, that's always been a great one.
Let's hear Dio do this.
Now, is this the new like remixed?
It is. Yep.
Live Evil. Oh, cool.
The suspense is killing me with these long intros. No, I like this. I like it a lot better than I remember. But I'm trying to figure out all the various songs from this album cover now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
War Pigs is obvious. Neon Night. I'm guessing that's Paranoid, the guy in the straitjacket.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a rabbit in a Native American headdress? I don't understand that one. What?
Yeah, I don't.
Or a walrus? Is it a walrus man? I don't know. He's got big whiskers.
I don't know. Some of the ones in the back, I don't.
I'm assuming that's Mob Rules on the right there.
Yeah.
What's that guy flexing? Is that a superstar? I don't know.
I just thought it was a cool cover, though.
Yeah.
I mean, say what you will about Ozzy as a singer, but I think that his mark on the original Sabbath songs is just it's difficult to replicate or to
Yeah, which is
make.
funny because you get all these singers that are way better singers than him.
Oh,
that
yeah.
can't quite
Yeah, I
capture
mean,
it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, I can't remember or haven't heard or can't remember Tony Martin, but I mean, I know that Dio, Gillan,
I can't
Hughes.
even see a picture of Tony Martin without laughing because I think about Chris L. That stiff Tony Martin. He always calls him a stiff.
Poor
I'm
bastard.
saying
He
that
never got
I
a
don't
chance.
have any opinions on Tony Martin's, but it's just funny hearing him rag. Even things I love, it's fun hearing him trash because it's
I just remember going to there was a Sabbath show in Boston. I think when we were still in high school. It might have been the Forbidden Tour or something like
yeah.
that. But wanted to go to see Iommi, and it was just like we went there to just mercilessly boo Tony Martin, which was like so dumb. You just be like, "All right," and now something from the new album. We're like, "Boo!"
You assholes.
We just do that to like everybody, and it just makes me wonder like why we were such dicks.
So I think like when we reviewed the Living Loud performance and you saw Jimmy Barnes doing all the Ozzy songs, it was one of the better,
yeah,
because it was like he wasn't attempting to replicate Ozzy. He was putting his own spin on it.
yeah.
And I
But the
think
thing
that's
is like
what- they didn't really necessarily make these songs their own. It's almost like they didn't know what to do with them, with the Ozzy songs.
well, yeah, like I mean, that's the thing is like Dio, Gillan, um, Hughes. I mean, they're great singers and they put their own stamp on everything. But for some reason, like Jimmy Barnes, he fit it. You know, he fit in. He did much better with those songs.
And it was
I mean,
a
that's
different.
still
It was its own thing, you know.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, I think that might be a difference too because like you hear the soundtrack, you hear the music, and you can still hear Iommi's guitar. They're
Right.
doing the arrangements of the songs the way that it would be. So you're expecting to hear Ozzy come in,
Your brain
and
is
instead you
just
hear
expecting. And it was the same thing with Gillan singing Dio, and it was the same thing with, well, we didn't really
yeah.
necessarily hear Hughes singing Gillan, but um yeah, maybe that's what it is then. It's like that uncanny valley thing where, you know, they try to make like a CGI generated human and it's almost there, but your brain is just like, nope, there's something off.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have like a cartoon of a human that's not attempting to try to be realistic, it's totally fine. You know, you can look at Homer Simpson and be like, oh, that's fine. You watch it, look at something super hyper realistic, almost human thing, and your brain's just like, ooh, you know, it's just, it kind of like turns it off. And maybe that's what it is. It's you're with the other thing you were hearing Daisley and Kerslake, but then you were also hearing Morse and Barnes and Don Airy. So it was like, it created its own version of the song versus just like a different person singing like a karaoke version.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's probably a good way of looking at it. Is it's like it almost is like a karaoke version, right? Because you almost have like the same music, the same style coming in the background um as the soundtrack, and then the singer's just singing over it. Whereas I think the using the Jimmy Barnes example, that band's just kind of integrated it into its own sound, even though the rhythm section was the exact same one from the first couple of Ozzy albums. But it's like I don't know. I feel it's like if you get like a I don't know. I'm trying to think of um um I mean it's not really like a slam dunk example, but I remember there was a Kiss tribute album where Garth Brooks did a cover of Hard Luck Woman, which is not a stretch because it's very easily a countryish sounding type of song. Where I guess he could have come over like the original and kind of sang it or whatever. But it's just like when you take a song like that and you kind of meld it into your style with your musicians, then it kind of, you sound more comfortable. It sounds more acceptable,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm sure that there are better examples, but it's the first one that comes to mind just because it's like a different genre.
Yeah.
Um, whereas like if you have something like, and I mean, I might have heard half of it, but like Motley Crue doing Like a Virgin,
Oh, I did not hear that.
let's just not, let's just not.
I heard that it existed and I was just like, oh, I think we were texting about it. And I was just like,
Yeah,
I mean, it was one of those things I could have been easily texting with any of my text groups about because it transcended
exactly.
all text groups. And I was just like, I just heard about it. I was like, you know what? I want to save myself the embarrassment and not listen.
Yeah, I
It just
think
seems like a bad idea.
at the end of the day, I think that there are just some vocalists or some bands that are just so unique that put such a stamp on things, regardless of their level of musical knowledge, theory knowledge, talent, whatever, that even the best singers with the most talent and the most theory and all that just can't get in there and really nail it.
Yeah.
Truly. And I think that that's what's
Even somebody of Vince Neil's caliber couldn't couldn't make it happen.
we know what his caliber is.
Like a virgin.
But anyways, back to this.
Yeah. There's one more thing that I think is I've had this file saved on my computer for years, like probably since we very first started doing the show, and I thought it was interesting. But it's probably worth playing because it's Dio doing another Ozzy song, but this is with Elf. And this is him doing War Pigs. So
Really?
yeah. So
okay.
I thought it was we could compare his Black Sabbath War Pigs with this, but like let's listen to what it sounds like when Elf does War Pigs.
Even before he was
This
really
is from
kind of
this is from
time.
72. So
wow, all right.
So let's check it out.
Just like witches at black masses, evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerers of this construction.
So live at the bank, which I would assume is a.
They were at an actual bank with a vault in the background, tellers.
Live from the laundromat. Reminds me of like in Flight of the Conchords, they're always playing like, like in a hotel lobby or like at a park with nobody listening, or the one episode they're in a library. Ooh, Gary Driscoll putting a little stank on it. So maybe I'll have to go back and listen to the live Evil version of this, but I seem to remember his performance bothered me on that because he didn't have the right rhythm to the vocals. But here he certainly does. So I don't know if maybe my memory is faulty or if he was just like, screw this Ozzy stuff by that point, because he was,
yeah, maybe.
10 years later, he's Ronnie James Dio. But this will be Ronnie doing bass and vocals during this performance. This is before they had Craig Gruber in the band. Yep, this is the bank in Cortland, New York, which is where they were from, which is
Nice.
David Feinstein, Ronnie's cousin there up front, who was unceremoniously booted from the band when Richie did his hostile takeover for Rainbow.
Reggie came in and fucking gutted the place.
Poor guys. So yeah, I guess we don't have to get too far into a guitar solo here, but pretty
Well,
good,
you know,
performance.
I don't know if we ever
Actually,
talked
a
about it.
surprisingly good bootleg live recording
Yeah.
from '72. It sounds better
I
than
think
the
so.
stuff from the '80s with Black Sabbath, you know?
But have we ever talked about, like, couldn't Richie have just said, "Hey, Ronnie, do you want to form a new band," rather than going in and just destroying a current band?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty crappy. I mean, but I guess realistically, what would Elf have done without Ronnie? But
Yeah.
they
Well, I
could
mean,
have. It seems like it would have been a lot less destructive, yeah, because they were basically that was it.
I don't know. I just every time we talk about it, it's just so funny. You just picture Ronnie coming in like Godzilla and just tearing everything apart, like destroying buildings. And
Yeah, it just comes in and be like, okay, hey, you, what do you play? Guitar? You're out. Everybody else stays in. We're gonna make this album. A couple months later, you're all out. Like just so. I mean, it's just so wrong.
so
It's really
brutal.
great, talented musicians too, but.
Mm.
Oh well.
But anyways, yeah, I think, and I mean, yeah, you've heard all sorts of variations of bootlegs from like the 70s through the 80s, 90s even. And I mean, I guess it just really depends on the quality of the recording, the recorder, the generation, like
Yeah.
where they were standing in the audience, if it were soundboard or not. So I mean, yeah, there have been some like shockingly good
Yeah.
things.
You know,
Like, I mean,
the
you
show
know,
we went to go, the Detroit show.
yeah,
That I screwed up my recording and it like didn't record like the first maybe half of the show.
yeah,
But my recording of the second half of the show was so good. I was so mad. It sounded like it was just something about the acoustics of that area, or wherever I had my recorder. It sounded
yeah.
so good. I was so upset that I didn't get the whole show. But realistically, am I ever going to listen to it? Probably not.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, like I think the caliber of recording equipment that they would have been using for these would have been very varied. You had that, you know, that one piece tape recorder with the play button, and you press the little orange record button in the middle to record. You know, people are probably recording with that and mono and putting it on the floor and kicking it. And I mean, it's really bad. But now you could literally take your voice memo app on your phone and record a pretty decent sounding bootleg. But yeah, so a pretty mixed bag. But obviously, you've got the remastered Live Evil stuff that sounds pretty good. And then, well, just for, you know, before we wrap up, just for shits and giggles, let's play something by Ray Gillan to hear that the quality that I have on that one, because it's really here it is, San Antonio. He does Mob Rules, Danger Zone, War Pigs, Heart Like a Wheel, so we could hear him, Gillan, singing Hughes, Black Sabbath, and Neon Nights. Any of those jump out at you?
I don't know who would we want to hear Ray Gillan sing, if anybody would even care.
You're the Ray Gillan guy, so you
Oh,
tell
that's
me.
true. Say the
You
songs
wanna-
again.
Mob Rules, Danger Zone, War Pigs, Heart Like a Wheel, Symptom of the Universe, Sweet Leaf, Black Sabbath, and Neon Nights.
Now, you were going to say something. What did you think would be interesting?
I was just saying Heart Like a Wheel because he's singing Hughes, but we could also hear him sing Ozzy.
Yeah. I mean, Heart Like a Wheel was actually like his first.
Was it?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Heart Like a Wheel was on the Hughes album. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking of him being replaced by Tony Martin. Never mind. Um, yeah, I'm not. I forget how that one goes. Yeah, I think like like maybe one of the Ronnie songs because I always thought that he sounded very Ronnie-ish
How about
at times.
so
Like,
for Ronnie, we got how about Neon Nights? Because we haven't heard
yeah,
Neon Nights yet.
yeah.
All right, Neon Nights by Gillan. Ray Gillan.
Wow, this is really good quality.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is like the next show, basically. I'm like, where was this recording equipment? when they,
It's all popped up.
yeah. Pretty good.
He sounds like a smoother version of Ronnie without like the grit. Like he's got the same range and the same tone as Ronnie.
Yeah. Not,
So you
not
can
as
see
much
that,
of like a
like-
growl to the voice.
Yeah. You could tell that Iommi was
like-
going for a certain type of singer like around this time.
That sounds like Bruce Dickinson right there. That
Actually, yeah.
again.
Yeah. That's a good call.
Because Dickinson has a really like smooth voice.
But like very like this very like operatic almost.
Yeah. I wish we had quality bootlegs like this for everything, but
Mm.
so I might have to change the name of this episode to Hughes sings, Gillan sings, Dio sings, Ozzy sings.
Gillan. Ray Gillan.
Or I'll just put Gillan and I'll put like in parentheses like A and E with a slash. You can just pick whichever one you want.
Yeah, I just think the only issue that I have with this is that Ray Gillan, like we said, has almost too clean of a voice.
Yeah.
Like he's hitting all the notes, but he doesn't have that same kind of gruffness that Ronnie does. And plus, I don't know if they were recording the keyboards too loud, but the keyboards make it sound super poppy.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess that would have been the style here in mid 1986. So this says it was an FM broadcast through some radio station in California, so that might be why they might just got us something direct. But they recorded it off of the radio on a TDK cassette. They specified what kind of cassette. Is TDK the one with the guy in the chair going like,
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
What was the one that was like the most 90s looking one? It had like the yellow triangles and pink circles
I think that was
on it.
Memorex.
Memorex, thank you.
Because I remember when I tried to when I was got very serious about recording, I stopped buying that stuff and I went for the quote unquote high end Radio Shack ones.
The high-end radio. I got the I think it's TDK. All of my master tapes over here, like the high quality ones for doing like the 8-track.
Oh, even just like, let me say.
Here it is.
Yeah, let's say.
The TDK SA90
Well, yeah, because there was none of that, colorful fucking Saved by the Bell graphics on the.
I know it does. It looked like the title card of Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, it looked more serious. It was like all black and everything. So
Oh, yeah.
and it like colors had a lot to do with it. If I saw,
And even the like the little case here had like a tint to it, like tinted windows.
I got in the same thing when I was recording stuff off TV on the VHS. I got the MGM brand videotapes because they had like the MGM gold logo on and everything, and it's just like, yeah, MGM. So this way it was. I mean, they're all deteriorating at the same rate now anyway, so who cares? But
And they were recorded at the on the slowest speed, so you could get the best quality.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what was it? It was SP or the
LP, EP, LP, and SP, I think. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
and what was
They
like
were just
basically 2 hours, 4 hours, or 6 hours.
I would only do 2 hours for like a movie that I was like dying
yeah.
to have or something, which I would set the VCR to record some movie off Turner Classics that I've never seen before at like 3:30 in the morning, and just hope that it.
I had
hope
my
that it got
one
it.
cassette that had all 3 Star Wars movies on it.
Mhm.
So probably really crappy quality, but I didn't have to change out the cassette. I could just put it on, and 6
Yeah.
hours later it'd still be chugging along.
Yeah, but those cassette tapes though, like the Radio Shack, I danced on their grave the day they went out of business. Fucking Radio Shack, the worst. And I kept going back because there was no alternative.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Circuit City, but I mean, if you wanted like things, you go in and be like, can I have an AV cable? And like every time without fail, what's an AV cable? It's like, why do you even work here? Like,
yeah, I'd be like you'd walk in, you wouldn't even be able to get past the desk, and they'd be like, "Can I help you find something?" I'm probably not. And like, we want to, yeah, okay, I need a 1/8-inch stereo to male, 1/4-inch. Huh? Like, okay, then why did you ask? Like, I see it right over there. Like, I just got to get past you. Is that back area, and it had like the little like the wall like that was like,
yeah.
the little walls that stuck out, and you just have to rifle through all of them and find the connector you want. I gotta say though, for even nowadays, I almost wish Radio Shack was around, because if you in a pinch, if you need like a special cable like that, there's just no option. You have to order it online.
Yeah, exactly. Just fucking go on Amazon like everybody else does.
Yeah, but if I
Amazon
need it
is
now, it's probably not gonna.
no, gotta wait.
You gotta wait till tomorrow.
No, gotta wait at the very least. Yeah, but I mean, man, that was yeah, they were terrible, and it's the one that's like right in this town too.
Oh, yep,
Which I remember was at the mall.
At the mall, yeah.
And I remember was the only one. And you go in there, and yeah, by the end they were just like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "No, you fucking can't." And then I just walk by them and just spend, even if I had to go root through every little thing to find the thing I wanted, I know that it would take me less time than if I asked them to help me.
And explain what it was.
But then on top of it, then I would go up there, and they would be like the one employee out of the whole store would be helping somebody with their one thing and just ignore me until they were done with that customer. So even when I found what I needed, after I was done, I would have to wait until they were done talking to that one fucking person. It's like, look, ask them to wait for a second, ring me out, and then you can go back to explaining like, this brand new VCR to them or some shit, Like, what a poor business model.
I remember at the end they would try to get as much information from me as possible. Probably they could sell it, to whatever. And I remember just going in there with my buddy Chris, and then being like, they were like, okay, they just matter of factly ringing you up. Okay, your phone number? And he's like, no. Like, oh, can I just have your phone number to look it up? He's like, look what up? I'm buying this cable. Like, don't look it up. Best Buy opened, and they had like not quite as much selection, but it was way better service. And our buddy Dave used to work there.
Yeah.
And do you remember? I don't know if I told this story on the show before, but do you remember when he was trying to explain TiVo to us?
I think you did tell this story, but it's always worth repeating.
It's one of my funniest stories because Dave was Dave didn't really explain things that well. And he starts working at Best Buy and he's just like, oh, hey, we got this new thing in at work today. It's called, it's like TV, but it's TiVo. And we're like, what? He's like, he's like, oh, it's so cool. But he couldn't explain it. And he was like, it's like, it's like, well, what do you mean TiVo? Like, we have TV, we don't need TiVo. And he's like, yeah, he's like, it's like TV, but you can watch it whenever you want. I'm like, yeah, you can do that with TV too. Like, he just couldn't explain exactly what like the DVR part of it was. But he was trying so hard to explain how cool it was. I was like, I don't know, Dave, doesn't sound that cool. They just changed a syllable.
That was like our other that was like our other friend. Me and Erock had a friend Dave, another friend Dave, and he started working, I think, at the Sears audio department or something in the mall.
Yeah.
And he wasn't dumb. He was just trying to like, he just didn't know. I remember he got the job in there and he was just like a salesman, you know what I mean? So he didn't know about the thing. So people would, he'd be like, people would be like, oh, these quarter-inch speakers, whatever, any good? And he'd be like, sure. That's how he'd upsell things, is he'd just agree with them, be like, sure, if you say so,
Well, that's funny because Dave was like, and he works for a car dealership now. He went from selling, electronics to selling cars, and he's just a natural salesman. I don't know what it is. He's such a lovable guy and a likable guy, and he's just not a bullshitter. He's just he's going to tell it to you honest. So he's like, at Best Buy, he was like the employee of the month, and he was like winning all these sales competitions, not even trying. And now he's like, like this amazing car salesman because he's just very honest and charismatic, and people trust him. So
wow,
it goes a long way.
Wow.
But yeah, but here we are. We should close it out.
Yeah, now that we're not even talking about Deep Purple anymore, we're talking about defunct electronic stores. And
which is
friends that used to work at them,
which is not at all off-brand. Oh, I did have another friend that worked at Best Buy, and this guy was working there, and this was 20 years ago maybe, and my buddy was a manager there, and one of the guys that worked there in the CD department, he's an older guy, and a kid walked up to him and said, "Hey, do you have 50 cents?" And he just went through his pockets, and he gave the kid 2 quarters. It's very nice of him.
50 cents. Oh yeah, let me check. I might have those funds available.
Yeah, nice guy. All right, so before we wrap it up, it's time to thank our next level of patrons. That is, of course, our foundation level patrons. Coming in at the £3.50 Deep Purple New York tier, we have none other than Long Lordford. Let's just go Long Lordford. That's your new name. At the £3, the Aromatic Feed tier, Simon Ford and Richard Brees. At the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, Stephen Sharp and Duncan Leask.
Smoke on the water while you're in the sky.
I love her. She's precious. The $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, Peter Gardeau. Ian DeRosier. Mark Roback. Stuart McCord. Ivan Fjeldbu. Runar Simonsen. Ruinous Inadequacies. Corey Morissette. Ashley. Rose. Weston Supermare Pilgrim. Joe Dopefish Sigler. Then we have at the $1.71 I Want My Own tier, Rich.
Young Wee, Shaylo,
I stole Pops' line. At the 10 kroner tier, we have Karsten Lau.
Cold, hard Danish kroner.
And at the $1 made-up name tier, we have the... What? The Child of the Grave? Okay. The Child of the Grave, Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 fanatic, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionel,
Blackmore Tights,
Steve Down to Earth Kohler, Zwapper the Electric Alchemist, Anders Engstrom, ICDC, Derple Purple, Purple Swede,
Swede.
David Haddam, Graham Bonnets, Disco Pants and Haircuts, and Eddie Lyon.
Homosexual.
Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast.
Do you know that clip you have of Richie saying homosexual, that I ever tell you that I thought that you got that from Spinal Tap?
Oh, I can believe it. Why, is there a Spinal Tap thing? Or
No, it
No,
just
it
it
just sounded
sounds like it sounds like one of the guys saying that, and I'm figured like, okay, like where else would he have gotten that from? Oh,
Yeah,
a
it
Richie
sounds like-
interview.
sounds like Nigel,
Yeah.
but
I don't
it's
know.
someone with a real British accent.
Hmm.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, there you have it, folks.
Yep.
Yet another episode in the can in our breezy autumn format. Just probably not breezy enough.
Our breezy, pretty soon will be like our breezy winter format. We'll just,
Our chilly winter format.
hey, there we go.
Yeah. Well, we'll need to bank some episodes very soon for between the holidays and me needing to evacuate my house for the remodel. We'll have to
Yes.
stock
We'll
up on
figure
some
it out.
episodes. But we'll figure that out later.
We'll
folks.
figure it out. We'll just have the breezy remodeling format.
Thank you for yes. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you've recorded this all off for the radio with your Memorex tapes.
Ooh.
And the 90-minute ones, you have to flip it over halfway. We should do that at the 45-minute mark. We could stop so that Pete Gardot could just flip his Memorex tape over. We'll stop for 5 seconds. Some
good.
podcasts break for ads. We break so you can flip your tapes over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll catch you next week with another new and exciting episode.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.